That leads us to number 10, which is the superintendent's report. Dr. Ross.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. We are certainly excited to recognize our students and our student athletes. They really put the student athlete together with that amazing achievement. And thank you to all those that are helping prepare our students for success. It's great to recognize what's going on in work-based learning. We'll give an update on that as well. As you heard, this is American Education Week, and we are very excited to recognize all that work with our students, and those are our coaches and our teachers, our front office staff, all those who come into contact with our teachers, from our custodians, our cafeteria bus drivers. And we want to thank the board for recognizing not only the hard work that they do, but the one-time gift for retention that has been provided. So every employee on November the 17th in our district will receive a one-time retention educator gift for American Education Week. As always, we're governed by three questions. Why do we do this work? Our vision question. How do we do this work? Our mission question. And what are our outcomes? And we use forums like this for feedback to make sure that we're aligned. Our vision is that we love and grow our students. Our mission is that we focus on academic, social, and emotional growth and development. And then our strategic plan outcomes, that we have 4 goals, and each of these goals are supported by strategies. Each strategy is supported by action steps for school climate, for teacher administrative quality, for student achievement, and for our gifted and talented strategies that we have. We have outlined this year as the growing season, and growing is exactly the work that our teachers and staff, our educators, are doing each and every day. If we look a year ago at the fall measures of academic progress projections, you could see the number of students in elementary and middle school that were off level, that were not on grade level as indicated by the red bars. And our goal was to grow those students to be on grade level by the end of the school year. If you look 1 year later at the progress that our teachers made, this is from fall to fall, representation of fall to fall. We are in a much better position this year, with more of our students being on level than off level in all but one category. So we continue to work and see the growth and the achievement that our teachers and our staff, our educators are doing. So we thank you for your investment in them. They are truly making the difference in this growing season. We're also, by week, track the number of students that are on pace to graduate. We've set a goal in our strategic plan that this year we would have a graduation rate of 90.5%. We track that weekly. I thank our secondary principals and our secondary director and all of their staff for working to not only know the numbers, but what are the names behind those numbers and what's the stories behind those names. Our district is, as we've said, hovered around that 90% mark for graduation rate. And so we're excited about strategies that we will employ not only this year, but in the future to help us get over that 90% mark. But I would offer this, when we look at graduation rates, I think it needs to be indexed with the preparation rate of the students being prepared. And so when we look at college and career readiness, the amount of students that leave our district who graduate actually college and career ready, we're at 80.2%. To give you some scale, that's the highest college and career ready rate in the Midlands, the second highest in the state. I'm looking at Dr. Holden according to amongst all traditional school districts. That is a very proud achievement. So yes, graduation rates are important, but you just don't want to pass out diplomas. You want to make sure that those students are actually ready for the futures that they have for themselves. So we're very proud of the work. You'll hear more about it in the superintendent's report, but I'm very proud of the work that our educators are doing to prepare our students. At this time, we'll get an update on our ESSER. For our ESSER quarterly update, we'll ask Ms. Madison Paul to come.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, and Dr. Ross. Thank you for inviting me here tonight to give you the quarterly ESSER reports ending September 30th, 2023. I'll go ahead and start with ESSER 1, which again we've gone over several times. These funds were actually fully expended by June 30th, 2021, but by law they were supposed to be, final spending was September 30th, 2022. And just as a reminder, we got about $1.6 million. This was mostly spent on bus driver and student nutrition continued salaries during the height of the pandemic. I did want to spend most of today focusing on ESSER 2. So ESSER 2 needed to be spent or encumbered by September 30th, 2023. So as you can see here, we have done so. So the district received roughly $6.7 million in ESSER 2 funds and has spent through September 30th, 6.2. You'll notice that there is a committed column, and I just wanted to break that down a little further for y'all. So the $403,000 in the sanitation services and supplies, so that was committed as of 9/30, which meant that we had a purchase order outstanding. And these funds need to be spent by December 30th of 2023. As of November 6th, all of those had been received and paid. The $9,700 related to provision of mental health services and supports. This was related to security supplies and supplies for our 4K classrooms. We have not received, all of those had a purchase order by September 30th, but we had not received all of those items yet. And as of November 6th, we've received about half of that and paid it. So again, just as long as we receive the invoices and the supplies by December 30th, we can still count that towards our ESSER funding. And the remaining $90,000 was for library books for middle and high schools that were below that risk level for South Carolina libraries. And as of November 6th, approximately 2/3 of those books and invoices have been paid, received and paid. So we, definitely are on track for that December 30th kind of final expenditure deadline. There is a slight negative there under the addressing learning loss among students. So I did task Ms. McCaskill and her team. We wanted to make sure we spent every penny of this money. And so I told them, go ahead and get all your library books that you need. Go ahead and get the purchase orders, and we'll kind of work through if there's a little bit of wiggle room at the end. So we do think this will kind of shake out as they let us know, hey, this is not in stock. We might need to switch it out, different things like that. But in the case that we are over expended in ESSER funds, we are prepared to move that to the general fund, just the negative $3,000. And then just briefly on ESSER 3. So this is our focus for really the next year. The ESSER 3 ARP funding will need to be expended by September 30th of 2024. So this is again through September 30th of 2023. So roughly one more year of spending planned for ESSER 3. So as we enter our third year, you'll notice that about 2/3 of this funding has already been spent or committed. So we're certainly right on track to spend as far as timing goes. The remaining $5 million will be encumbered and spent by September 30th of 24. Currently, finance has been working with student services, operations, and the Office of Instruction to really iron out the final details of this last year. So a lot of the items that you guys already know about are certainly the clinical counselors. That's a big piece in the provision of mental health services. That is ongoing, and that will continue throughout the next school year. With learning loss, Ms. McCaskill's group is still planning for summer camps and things like that over next summer, so thankfully this funding will still be there for next year as well. So all of that is really coming down the pipeline, but we are certainly on track to spend the remaining $5 million by September 30th of 2024. I'll be glad to take any questions.
Any questions? Ms. Huddle.
I think I asked before if we were able to move some of these, and one in particular I guess I'm asking about is the sanitation services. I know when this money first became available, everybody thought that those types of things would make a big difference with COVID. So is there any thought to perhaps repurposing that or some of the other money into perhaps other areas?
Yeah, so we can do that really at any time. We would do a spending plan amendment. So that's kind of what we're working on with all of the different departments right now to make sure that the funding is in the right categories. But that's really a pretty quick turnaround. If they end up saying, we really don't need it for sanitation, we may need it for learning loss, or we may need more money for camps or different things, that's really a pretty simple process that we just send over to the state. Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions for Ms. Paul? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pohl. At this time, I'm going to ask our Chief of Academics, Ms. Tina McCaskill, to come forward with our work-based learning update.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Board, Dr. Ross. I will gladly and very excitedly introduce David Prigge to you, our Director for our Career and Technical Education. He has done an amazing job. As you've already heard most of these numbers tonight in one form or another, but I certainly am going to let him smile and tell you all about it because he's been a big part of it, and I appreciate his work. So, David, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Ross. Thank you, Ms. McCaskill. As you heard, well, we haven't got that far yet. Currently, our student internships, we have 106 students district-wide doing internships, and you can see on the slide the breakdown between all the different schools in the district. And again, thanks to our CTE coordinator and guidance school counseling specialist and our career specialist, they're out there making this happen. And these students are on track for work-based learning experiences for 23-24. Now, our First Jobs Initiative started in second semester of 21-22. And we started at Irma High School with 3 students. Then we moved to 22-23, and we expanded it to 2 more schools, and we had 9 participants. And this year, during 23-24, we've opened it up to all high schools, and we're currently at 15. So First Jobs is also counting toward our work-based learning experiences. Now, our work-based learning growth, you just heard about that. In 21-22, we had 25 students listed at the State Department for work-based learning experiences. Now, last year, 22-23, that number really went up to 179, and again, that's due to our CTE coordinator, Dr. Simmons, and Sheila Nabonet, the school counseling specialist, and all of our career specialists that were recognized a little while ago. And what this means is that we have more students going out doing something in the fields that they're training for. It could be like a job shadowing, internships, working part-time, and they have to meet the criteria for the State Department of Education. So we look forward to more and more success for 23-24 because we're right on track with 106 interns already this year. And we're going to have more work-based learning experiences reported by the end of 23-24. And I will say this, the 179 is the highest in the Midlands.
Are there any questions?
Do we have any questions? Mr. Satterfield?
I don't really have a question, but I have a comment. I believe last year, Ms. Snipes and I attended the celebration at Prisma Medical Center. That was such a great celebration, and it's so meaningful to those kids. So I'm not sure if this is a part of the same program, but it was a work-based program and an apprenticeship, so to speak. But it's great to see these kids, and I remember not long ago when Dr. Ross, we had another celebration here where we recognized some of our kids that were taking on jobs here. This is real important. This is really good for the self-esteem for anybody to have success in that. So I appreciate what you're doing with that. I really do.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Scully?
Yeah, congratulations and very well done. I'm just curious, growth from 25 to 179 in a year is remarkable. Have you set a goal for next year in terms of that you're looking to hit, or what are we looking forward to?
We haven't really set a number for next year, but we always set the goal to be higher than what we were. Like I said, we're on track. We have 106 interns by themselves, but there are other categories for work-based learning experiences, and I am thinking we're probably, at this point, probably at 150 to 160 experiences.
Ms. Huddle.
I'm just curious, what did you guys do I guess two-part question. What are some of the things you did to increase it? And are there certain fields that saw greater growth than others?
What we did to increase it, we improved our reporting to the State Department in Power School. We have, CTE has what's called the red box, and that's what this all counts, as long as it's in the red box. In our career specialists, they did a lot more beating the bushes to get kids out, and they're the ones that reported into the red box. And we had, for the first year last year, a CTE coordinator that focuses on work-based learning. And what was the second part?
Were there any areas that kind of grew more than others? Or fields of study, that kind of thing?
Yeah, our fields are fairly even, but the health sciences, transportation, distribution, logistics, and manufacturing are three of the highest ones in the district right now.
And I have a question regarding the first jobs. I understand you said that when we first started, I believe we had 3 positions at Irmo High School, and we've grown across the district to 15 jobs. And my question is not meant to take away from that. I think that that is great. But I remember when we implemented first jobs, it was really strongly geared towards Irmo High School.
Yes.
And the situation going on at the time. Are the 3 jobs that are filled at Irmo, are those the only jobs available, or really within all of the high schools? Are there additional jobs open and available for students, or are we struggling to have students apply for those positions?
Yes, ma'am. We have more openings than we had students because it's all voluntary for the students. And a lot of students, what we're doing is they're working during their study halls, during class time, and there are quite a few students that don't want to give up that time.
Okay.
And not everybody's interested in that because they're doing athletics and they're doing other things in the school.
Okay.
But that is still a great increase.
All right.
And hopefully we can increase more next year.
All right. Sounds good. Any other questions? All right. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board, for recognizing the amazing work that we're doing in preparing our students for life after high school. You referenced Mr. Satterfield, the work that we do. You've seen that whether it's Project Search or Project Boom, those to address our students with special needs, or all the way up to our first jobs or our completer systems. There are a lot of pathways that we get, and we're really excited about not only recognizing those students, but expanding on those pathways. Last thing I would like to do is just share with the board and our community. We have 2 new authors in our ranks of students from the Leap for Literacy program with Stanley Tucker. So I want to thank Ms. McCaskill. She actually went down to Atlanta, and the students, Dylan Martinez Perez, his new book, Perfect Day at the Pool. It can be purchased on Amazon. And also, if you want to add to your library, Dylan Kaufman's Super Cat, both now available on Amazon. They had their book signing, and Ms. McCaskill went down to Atlanta with them for their book signing. So we're very proud of our students, and really looking forward to seeing more work from Stan Tucker and his literacy project. Madam Chair, members of the board, that concludes the superintendent's report.
All right. Any final questions for Dr. Ross? All right. Thank you, Dr. Ross.